Sometimes with you guys, I just have to kind of like start it and then like,
I forgot how to do this. It's been a while.
Me and Buddy
Um,
don't stop talking until we're prompted to.
yeah, yeah. Hello, welcome to the Big Motor Small Podcast. I'm Buddy Poley.
I'm Seth Dolby.
I'm Chase Folsom.
And I'm Peter Stratta.
Peter Stratta is here from. Remind me of. I get the letters confused.
TSJ Sports.
TSJ Sports. Thank you. He is here to enlighten us on all things NASCAR because we don't know a damn thing. And so Peter is going to help us learn the sport today. They go right?
Sometimes.
Okay. All right, cool. That's more than some people know. Anyway, before we do that, what's up, everybody? It's been a while. Like, I'm jacked up. I'm fucking ready to go.
Yeah, sadly, it is not the beginning of the new season yet, although it feels like the off season's been long enough already. I just got home from vacation like 10 minutes ago, so I'm not prepared for this at all.
Okay. All right. Sounds like Chuck. Seth, how you been?
I'm good. Just chilling out.
Yeah.
That's my whole
right.
answer. That's my
Great. Awesome. Peter, how you doing? You've been working still.
Somewhat, yeah. I was at the banquet in Nashville, which I wasn't able to make last year, so I'm glad I was able to make that work this year. And then just yesterday, I was at the Petty Museum for the truck team announcement for Faction 46 and everything with Thad Moffitt.
Yeah. And now, real quick, so Faction 46, is that like, who are they? Are they not aligning with someone?
They're aligned with Nice. So that
Okay.
my understanding is they'll be operating out of Nice's shop, but they have their own equipment.
Okay, got you. And like, so it's like kind of like a track house situation the first year.
Kind of, yeah. Trackhouse
Okay.
the first year operated out of RCR in Welcome.
Yeah.
This will be very similar.
Okay, got you. Yeah, I don't know anything about trucks, so I heard it and then I was like, wait, hold on. Do is that so? It's a petty team, I guess. Kind of.
It's Thad,
Ish.
who's obviously Petty's
Yeah.
grandson. They're using the Petty stylized font, but the owner is not the Petties. It's this guy out of Oklahoma, which Oklahoma is the 46th state. So that's a nice, neat tie-in for the 46.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where they got the number from, then.
Well, that and Thad's raced the 46 before.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, because the petty Chase.
I didn't
Petties
keep
go
up with that. Oh, yeah, because Adam was okay. Yep.
You got it. Good job.
Dude,
good
I don't
job,
pay it.
Chuck.
Cool.
That makes so much sense now.
I'm fine. I don't know. I'm just out here beat bopping around like I normally do. Trying to
Explain
put
what
stuff together.
beat bopping is.
I was hoping y'all would know. Like, I was hoping when I said it, y'all just kind of understood what that meant. I would never have to explain it.
It's just like when you're just living.
Dude, how's
You're
the
just beat
banquet?
bopping around.
How's the banquet, Peter? How is that?
It wasn't as big a deal this year as it was in past years. For a fan activation standpoint, there wasn't a lot. There was a parade at like 1:00 in the afternoon near Broadway, not on Broadway. Ben Rhodes somehow got all three champions lost, and that's basically all that happened that was publicly available.
Interesting. That's
what
weird.
do you mean they got them lost?
Yeah, wait.
He apparently made a wrong turn and nearly drove all three of them into traffic, like actual traffic.
That's the most Ben Rhodes thing I've ever heard in my life.
That's the most NASCAR thing I've ever heard.
He drank too many of his friend Bud before getting in the car or the truck.
Oh man,
what the hell? That's funny. I can't believe I hadn't heard that.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've always wanted to go to the banquet.
Yeah, they're typically pretty fun, and a lot of people were out on the red carpet, a lot of great interview opportunities, and got a few good quotes from Kyle Busch, from Harvick, from Dale Jr., and a bunch of others.
Yeah, I saw Junior. He told that story about his dad beating the shit out of that guy because he tried to shoot his deer. Or
That's a
she was
bit
deer?
less politically correct than he told it, but yeah, a guy broke onto his hunting property, killed a deer, and Dale Sr. reprimanded the guy
Reprimanded.
There you
That's
go.
that's one
That's the way to put it.
and had to show up to the banquet in a cast.
That's like so. Y'all seen the Key and Peele sketch where they got Obama and then his Obama's translator. That's like
Yeah.
Peter's nice and politically correct and says all the right things, and then I'm just out here like he beat the shit out of him.
Oh, I guess, not to like go off on my own little tangent, but I'm going to.
You've never done that before.
Never. I've never done this. Breaking news on the Big Motor Small Blade podcast. For 5 whole minutes, I was going to the Snowball Derby. I don't think I told you guys that.
Oh, what happened?
So I'm sitting at work. I guess it was the Friday before the Derby.
Okay.
So I guess that was last Friday, right?
It doesn't matter.
2 Fridays
Friday
ago.
before
Either way,
the Derby.
Friday before. It's like 4:00 in the afternoon. I'm at work, and my boss, Tom Bowles at Front Stretch, calls. And I'm like, I'm at work. I'm busy. I'll call him back after work. And then I see a text that says, call me back ASAP, paid opportunity. And I was like, all right, I'll be right back. I got to go make a phone call. And I go out there, and he's like, so long story short, we have a sponsorship deal, and we need people to go to Snowball. And everybody else has bailed on us like that was like we were originally having go. So this one guy's going, but he wants somebody to go with him. I'm asking you and this other guy, Mark, if he says yes, he has seniority over you, but we're thinking he's going to say no. So can you go? And I was like, yeah, I can go. When's he picking me up? He's like, well, he'll be in Charlotte in 2 hours. And I was like, great, perfect. I can go. And I like called my dad and I was like, hey, do you care if I just jump in a car and go to Pensacola this weekend? And Dad's like, no, I don't care. Go ahead.
Yes,
and then I called Abby.
His dad.
Well, I was like, I didn't know if he needed the truck for anything this weekend, that weekend. And then shut up. I can do what I want to do. I just was being considerate,
Yeah, buddy.
I live in his house still.
Okay.
I am,
You're good. Yeah.
Yeah. And then called Abby. I was like, hey, I'm going to Pensacola for the weekend. So like, screw all our plans. Sorry. And then as I got off the phone, Tom called me back and he was like, I'm so sorry. I feel so bad. But Mark just called me back and said he actually can't go. And I was like, well, dang. Now my girlfriend's mad at me and I'm not going to the Snowball Derby.
Man, that's like that's a double whammy.
Yeah, but it's okay. I understood. We talked about a few other things, but yeah, I was just happy that I was second on that list.
Yeah,
a long list of people that I was being considered. So that's really cool.
Deal.
Yeah, if I got
big deal.
Sounds like you were 5th on the list since everybody bailed before you.
Well, no, those were the people that like actually lived there.
Oh, okay.
They're close by. They were just gonna go, and then they all.
You wouldn't even be second on like my list of like podcast co-hosts.
That makes me feel really great, buddy. Thank you.
I mean, Peter held this whole call together when Seth got frozen. So Peter.
That's because he was more ready to go than you guys, and he joined first.
That's true.
Buddy always makes sure I feel so loved, and that So, thanks, buddy. I really appreciate it.
You're
so
welcome.
anyway,
okay, let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
So Chuck, keep it swift. Cars Tour schedule. What do you like about it? What do you not like about it? What's good? What's not? Obviously, they got a new title sponsor. What does that do?
Yeah, so I'm gonna pull up the schedule really quick because it's been a couple weeks. Okay. And for those that haven't seen it, I'll read tracks, not dates. Southern National Motorsports Park opens the season. They actually go back-to-back weekends because the pro late models go 1 week and the late model stocks go another week.
And let me tell you about Southern National if y'all don't know. They had the Thanksgiving Classic a couple weeks ago. That was one of the greatest late model stock races you ever seen in your damn life. Yes. So if you're anywhere near Lucuma, North Carolina, you should definitely make a trip out to the Cars Tour opener.
Yes. So Southern National. And then New River All-American moves up from I think it was August this past year to March. And then they go to their original, typical first Hickory date. Orange County's back. and presumably going to be the old North State Nationals. That hasn't been confirmed by anybody yet, but
That's the
Dale
30
kind of,
grand race.
yeah, Dale kind of let it slip and then backtracked on it, so it's probably going to be it. And then they go to Ace, and then they go to North Wilkesboro for All-Star Week. It'll be pro late models on Tuesday, late model stocks on Wednesday. Then they'll go to Tri-County on Coke 600 weekend. They go to Langley in June, backed up by Dominion. And then Caraway, I believe that's a Wednesday night race still. And then end of July is throwback race at Hickory. Then they go to Ace for a second time. Wake County is finally a mainstay on the schedule. It's about time.
You can't hear it, but I'm clapping.
Florence will be the Friday before the Southern 500 now. I called that, so big
Wasn't
W
it-
for me.
It was that this year.
It was a random race in March. It was that Florence did their own locked in 150 thing before the Southern 500.
Oh yeah.
So now it's a cars event. It might still be the same thing. They might work together on that. That's not
Okay.
really been talked about.
Interesting.
Then South Boston.
That'll bump up car counts for.
Yeah, absolutely. South Boston, Tri-County, which is Roval weekend. And then the season actually ends instead of championship weekend for NASCAR, ends October 18th and 19th at North Wilkesboro. So that's cool. Pro late models on Friday night, late model stocks on Saturday night with the Smart Tour modifieds. So there's a lot of really good things on here. Going to North Wilkesboro for a championship race is just awesome.
Yeah, that's
the fact
cool.
the fact that track is 3 years ago, it was just a figure of imagination that track was going to have actual race cars on it again.
Yeah.
And now we're looking at a championship event there next year. For any series is incredible.
Didn't the 4-year anniversary of the weed eating get together just passed like a couple days ago?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. So,
and Junior mentioned he was he mentioned back when he went and did the Miata test at Martinsville. He's like thinking about talking about running Martinsville for the car store, but he's like, really, we got Wilkesboro. That's our real big race. And the fact that now they have two, like the championship race and it being All-Star weekend too. I mean, that's
two of their 4 biggest races.
I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe. I mean, they could sell out championship.
They could,
race.
and the fact that they're like joining up with the Smart Tour to do that together is 10 out of 10. Awesome. Yeah. And it's a 2-day event because the pros are going to be on Friday night, which isn't really listed on the schedule, but the pros are going to be on Friday night, late model stocks on Saturday. 2-day events like that, because they do 2-day events all the time, but Friday is just a practice day. Yeah. If you're going to do a 2-day event, spread the races out so that we're not there, and so the teams aren't there until midnight every Saturday night, because these are regular people. These aren't like the NASCAR guys that like these are people that have to take off from their day job to travel to the racetrack. Dominion and Langley staying together in June, that's a long way to go in Virginia, so the fact that they're back to back is a plus. Florence is 10 out of 10 idea there. The fact that it wasn't a Darlington weekend before was really a missed opportunity, so they're capitalizing on that. Obviously, All-Star Week at Wilkesboro is going to be great.
Hopefully Dale runs that again.
He 99% is, because he pretty much told us at Florence that he told us that he's running Icebreaker, Darlington weekend, so Cars Tour, South Carolina 400, and Wilkesboro he runs for Sundrop obligations. So he'll be running that, and then he said the most we'll see him in is 6 next year. Wow. So there's potential for 2 more. He didn't really give any hints as to where.
I wonder if he would run the. Well, no, he can't because of NBC. I wonder if Harvick would run the championship race.
I don't know. He hasn't really.
Yeah, no, he's kind of
been more hints about wanting to race. I think he wants to. He might race 1, and that's it. Honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I asked him about this at the banquet, and he said after the Fox schedule ends in June, he's pretty wide open to anything. So I could see 1 or 2 races for him.
Okay, yeah, and
I can see probably like Florence, maybe.
He also said something about running Xfinity.
Yeah, he did.
So that might be something there.
So
That'd be cool.
I asked him at the Cars Tour, because I went to the Cars Tour announcement press conference thing. And I asked him, I was like, you're probably tired of hearing this question, but if you had to pick one track on this schedule to race at, where would it be? And he went through the whole thing about wanting to get through Fox. But then he said, if I had to pick one, maybe it'd be Florence. Dale seems to say it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking maybe Darlington weekend. We'll see him. Orange County.
Cool.
Orange County being back is awesome, because the only reason it hasn't been back is because the track promoters in the series just haven't come to agreements. Yeah. So that being back is really good. Yeah, go ahead.
Talk about the Z-Max deal. Like, what's that? Is that gonna up purses? Is that like what's the benefactor?
So that is the goal. So obviously Marcus Smith has a role in that, with Z-Max sponsoring his drag strip, and the Wilkesboro deal. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So Marcus plays a big role in that. Marcus wants to be more involved in the series. And really, just the more money goes into the series, like Dale was saying to us at Florence, the more they can up the purses and the more they can travel farther, because the teams will be able to afford to. So,
well, hang on. I don't know that Marcus Smith being involved in a lower division would be a good idea. Last time the Smiths were involved in a little late model deal was that Sportsman thing where they killed a bunch of people.
So maybe let's not do that again.
Just keep it at a sponsorship level there, Marcus.
Yeah,
we love you,
but anyway,
put them on the big track at Charlotte.
Yeah,
but anyway, it's just a bigger sponsor brings more name recognition to the series, and the more eyes you get on the series, the more money the series makes, and the more the drivers' names continue to keep getting boosted to where they get more opportunities. And then the more they're getting big opportunities, the more the series is making money, the more the purses go up, and then the more they can have big events.
I think I could see eventually the Cars Tour not necessarily replacing ARCA like physically, but like as a ladder, it replacing ARCA as, a stepping stone to the truck series or Xfinity.
And I asked Dale at Florence what they would have to do to expand farther than just the Southeast, because that's really where the late model stock car lives, is just the Southeast.
Yeah.
And he gave an interesting answer that I'd never thought of, but it makes perfect sense. If they were ever going to expand, they'd have to basically create a whole new series. Yeah. It would be like the Cars North series or the Cars West series. But the only way to do that is to get more money into the series and bigger purses, to have the funding to even be able to create a whole new structure for a whole new series, because that's a whole new payroll of people.
I'm willing to bet it probably would. You think they would even still run late model stocks? Like if they went Midwest, you think they would like run supers?
No, because they got away from supers. They got away from supers to be unique, and I think their path to actually being able to expand like that is the pro late models, because pros are growing all over the country, and pros are growing out west, pros are going in the deep south, pros are growing up north, pros are pretty big in the northern part of the Midwest, if I remember correctly. They race with the supers, so I think that's kind of their gateway in. And like this schedule isn't finished either, because there's plenty of tracks that they talked to that it just didn't work. This is an unfinished product, and none of them would give any names. I have some ideas, most notably Kingsport.
Okay.
If they can work with NASCAR, that's it. Like the biggest thing for them is the more you can work with NASCAR, the more name recognition the series gets, which is why the Florence thing is such a big deal, that they're racing Southern 500 weekend in Florence. And that's what they're trying to do with Tri-County. I don't know how well it's going to work, because the difference from Florence to Darlington is 20 minutes. The difference from Tri-County to Charlotte is an hour, a little over an hour.
Yeah.
So
some
people you're gonna get a few more people to go. Like there people that are in town to watch racing.
I think honestly it could be a bid to, you could get more industry members.
Yeah. The only problem I have with Memorial Day weekend there, and it's not really their fault, because that was a traditional date for them. I really put more fault on a different series that I've talked about a little bit on here, the World of Outlaws. because Charlotte, that's always been NASCAR's Charlotte weekend. Like it's Memorial Day weekend, Coke 600 weekend. There's an Xfinity race on Saturday. Well, the World of Outlaws are racing in Elkin that weekend too. So now you're asking people pretty much, instead of benefiting both series, now those people are going to leave Charlotte. And if they're going to go to a race, they're going to split. They're either going to go north or east.
Well, I mean, you got to think about it. I mean,
it's the same distance.
How many of those fans are, how many fans are you really dividing?
That's the problem. There's not the group that's going to travel to Florence is going to be much bigger than what's going to travel to Tri-County. So then you have the World of Outlaws and you're splitting that. So there's already a smaller number. I just feel like, and I more put this on the Outlaws because there is plenty of people that have wanted dirt, not Buddy because Buddy's a hater, but there's plenty of people that have wanted dirt late model racing back in this state.
That's correct.
And the fact that it finally came back and it's Memorial Day weekend. And it's competing with NASCAR and the Cars Tour. And I think it's just dumb.
Hey, I'm just going to put this out there and then we'll move on to
I have NASCAR. A couple negatives, but you go ahead.
Okay. If y'all want to drink some beer and have a good time, y'all can meet me at Tri-County Saturday after Xfinity race and not at Elkin at the damn dirt race. So
I will
and if
be
y'all
there
listening
well,
out there,
sober.
Come drink beer at Tri-County that night. Yeah. Anyway,
or you can go to a good race and go to the Indy 500.
Well, the Coke 600's been pretty damn good in the past couple of years.
I think
what's your negatives, and let's go.
Yeah, I think my biggest well, I have one that's never going to happen and one that kind of stands out to me. I don't really like them splitting up the Southern National date. And maybe I haven't been paying attention enough or really read far enough into it as to why they did it. I think they kind of tried to create a Speed Weeks type thing at Southern National.
Well, but I think it could have something to do with Southern National and the way they do their camping, because they have like the
thing where you can park up against the fence, right? Like Tri-County does.
Yeah, and
I've never been
there. I think they have a pretty decent like camping turnout. Okay. And so that might be the theory behind it.
I don't know, man. I just feel like that one, if you're gonna do it a Wednesday and a Saturday or a Thursday or a Friday Sunday deal. Because Saturday to Saturday, that's a lot for don't take this the wrong way. It's a lot for a late model race. To go camp for a week, to stay for a pro late model race and then a late model stock race. There's a group of people that are absolutely going to do it. You're right. There's also a lot of people that are going to pick one or the other.
There's a lot of people that go to Southern National that are Southern National diehards. As someone who
I've never been there. So
yeah.
I just feel like maybe not I will be, obviously. I just feel like maybe not the diehard fans of the track are possibly going to pick one or the other rather than both.
Well, that's why we run the race.
My other one is the fact that I probably harp on this too much and it's never going to change, but Hickory doesn't deserve 2 dates until they actually put money into the facility. And I'll leave it at that. We can move on to NASCAR now.
That is facts.
They're going to keep going back there because it's their heart and soul of the series because they've been there twice as many times as any other track. But does it deserve it? Absolutely not. And now we can move on.
Okay.
Cars Tour A+.
Sounds good. We're gonna work on Chuck's his briskness of the reports throughout the season. That was fair, but we're gonna keep working. Just kidding.
You're the one that interrupted me 5 times.
Yeah, that's who I am. That's what I do.
Buddy interrupt someone? I've never heard of
such
a thing.
I cannot believe somebody would make such a claim towards the Buddy Pulley.
That's right.
News.
Yeah. Yeah. Peter, okay. Big old TV deal. What is it? What was it? 7.7 billion?
Yes, it's been 7 years, $7.7 billion. That's just over $1 billion a year. And it's 14 races on either Fox or FS1, 14 races on NBC or USA, and then 5 on Prime and 5 on TNT slash the Warner Brothers app Max. Excuse me.
Okay, got it. All right. So obviously, what are the pros, the biggest pros you see, and like what are you hearing from like people in the garage about what they think about it, and what do you personally think?
I think it's a fair balance of staying mostly on TV, but also dipping your toe into streaming. I think it's only 10 weeks that, in theory, someone who doesn't have Prime or Max would miss, and they're only the mid-season races. So it's not like you'd be missing the Daytona 500 or the All-Star race or the Clash or any of the playoffs. If you only have a cable subscription, you'll still see arguably the most important races of the year, but this is a nice way to obviously bring more money into the sport, like Chase was saying with the car store and their new sponsorship. And I would like to think this will be an opportunity to see more people in the booth calling the action on play by play.
Okay, nice. Okay, that's, you bring up a good point there. I didn't even think about really put too much thought into like who's going to be calling the races. And like, is this so? Obviously, they were hedging, the whole charter deal on this, and what? How do I put this? I guess what is the feeling now that we have the TV deal? What is the feeling from the teams as far as maybe their, obviously we don't know their cut, I guess, but as far as their cut and how they feel about just the deal overall?
Well, you'd think with two new broadcasters coming in, that'd be some pay increase, but also you're seeing a cut back from Fox and from NBC both. I think they had 16 and 20 races this past year and in this past deal. So their involvement's obviously cut back some. So I'm not sure exactly how the 7.7 billion breaks down, but I think that with the two new companies coming in, there is some increase there.
Okay, got you. Seth, you had a question for me, or we talked about this when it first came out. What we were talking about, I guess why they split up the streaming partners, why it wasn't just one streaming partner instead of doing it two. And Peter, do you think this makes sense that splitting up between two, they were able to get more money out of it than if they just had Amazon?
Potentially, I mean, if it were
TNT.
up to me, I would have kept it to 10 races on one or the other. But if you're giving both companies a chance to get their feet wet with the sport, see how much they are willing to put forth on their production and their broadcast, and see how how receptive their fans are to it, then that can only be seen as a positive. But I guess we'll see in 25 and beyond how that turns into ratings numbers.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Chuck, I know you have a pretty strong opinion about this. I'm gonna let you go ahead.
I don't know, man. I don't like it because, well, okay. Let me retrain my thought here. If Peter is correct about, which I assume he is, I just read it wrong. The fact that the All-Star race and the 600 will still be on regular TV.
Yes,
That's a
correct.
plus. Because somewhere I had read,
they're going to be on, is it going to be on regular TV and on Prime? Did I read that? Or did I see
because
that?
I read that those would be streaming races.
The Prime races are only streaming. The Max races are also on True TVs. There's 5 only streaming races.
Oh, okay. So I didn't even know. Okay, I didn't know that. That's interesting. That'll be an interesting that'll be an interesting comparison to see how the just streaming does versus the streaming and the. Yeah, go ahead, Chuck. Sorry.
What in the world? Sorry. I just feel like, and I know, like way back in the early 2000s, it was on a different channel every single week, but it's not the early 2000s anymore, and the sport is not the same anymore. And when I read 14 and I think like whatever, I think it's like 14 and 15, you said for Fox and NBC. I was like, it's 14 for both. Okay. I was like, okay, that's fine. If they want to try streaming, Fine. They need to do their best to put all 14 of the cable races on regular cable TV, not USA Network, not Fox Sports 1, because the streaming thing, there's a lot of people that are going to like it. And then there's a select group of the fan base that is not going to watch. And then you add in that, and then you cut back on the races that are on national television. And I feel like when you're trying to grow the fan base, a way to do it is not by making it harder for the casual fan to find the race and watch it.
Agreed.
Because
the cutback of races on main broadcast TV was one of my big downsides of this whole deal. I think it's only 5 for Fox and 4 for NBC, and that's just too few.
exactly. I mean, like, if you want to say the first couple NBC races be on USA, fine. The Southern 500 and the 10 playoff races should be on NBC no matter what. I don't care if you have to interview the winner and immediately go to Sunday Night Football. The ratings double. The viewership doubles. And Fox, don't even get me started on Fox. Their coverage is bad enough. Hopefully with Kevin there, it'll be a good bit better because he's really good with his analysis of the sport. But what in the world does Fox have to air on Sunday afternoon in the middle of March? Not what, like a replay for the 700th time of some show that's been on for 30 years? Like,
Okay.
there's nothing going on Fox.
The U.S. Open. I know that's NBC. I don't know.
There's nothing going on Fox in the middle of March and April that means we have to put races on FS1.
Well, here I have a comment. You said less opportunity to pick up the casual fan on like regular TV. I think that's a little old school thinking. And here's the only reason I'm saying that is because I did door-to-door sales for AT&T, and I sold TV and internet. And so I talked to thousands upon thousands of people about, their TV package and what they had currently versus what they prefer. And I think it is more likely for the casual fan to stumble across NASCAR through a streaming like Amazon Prime or Max than it is regular cable. I'll put it like this. 85% of the people I talk to, or no, hold on, I'm getting my numbers mixed up. Okay. Yeah, no, 85% of the people I talked to had streaming only. And of those remaining 15%, I would say 14.8 of them had cable TV. There is so few people in this world nowadays that have just the bunny ears. And I really think that it's almost mirrors kind of deals in the past. It's just with a different way of doing it. Catching, you had the, people who had bunny ears could watch all the races. Well, now you have the newer people, or not newer people, but the people of today who all they have is streaming, and now they can watch the races. So I think and Max, like having NASCAR on that is huge. Yeah, I had no clue how many people like fucked with that. That was a terrible way of putting that, but you know what I mean. But like, dude, I'd be selling TV, and I would say it was either you could get TV and you got Max for free, or you got a gig of internet and Max for free. I'd say that, and that was a buying point right there, or a selling point right there. So I think I like I said, I think it's just that's a little old school. Now, I mean, I think that's just a little old school thinking, and I think it makes sense what they're doing.
I see both sides of it because
Yeah.
I get the whole streaming thing. Now, personally, at this point in time, there are 10 races on the schedule next year that I cannot watch, that I'm going to have to figure out a way to afford to watch, because my family that might like, and I know this is a smaller portion of the fan base now.
No, but
my dad doesn't watch anymore because unless it's on Fox or NBC. And he grew up a diehard fan of the sport. And unless it's on Fox or NBC, he doesn't watch. because he doesn't like paying for those channels. And the only reason he has them is because I'm covering the sport now, because he started to get rid of them. And I was like, well, I kind of need it.
Yeah.
And so now I'm going to, like, that's 10 races right there. That's a chunk of the schedule now that I can't watch. And
well, it's only 5, right? It's just the
5
prime.
and well, yeah, it's 5 that are only on streaming. The 5 that are on Max will also be on True TV.
But I don't like, that's one of those things that you have. I'm pretty sure you have to pay extra in a TV package to get True TV, right?
No, True TV is pretty basic.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've never watched True TV before, so I hear that and I'm like, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's just
it's like USA.
I'm like a 70 or I'm like a 70.
You are, dude.
Man.
You are old school.
I am. I've always been this way. So my only thing is, and I might be the only one that thinks this way, but in my personal opinion, yes, it is great that streaming attracts new fans. However, as soon as you also look over and then the like national television numbers get cut in half, you're also driving away a portion of the original fan base. And when you're attracting new fans just to drive away old ones, you're not really making a gain. You're just bringing in a different group of people rather than growing the sport.
I will say, Chuck, you can get Prime, last I checked, for like $7 a month if you or someone you know has a school email.
Well, I mean, that helps.
So
that helps.
And that's only 5 weeks, so you'd need it for 2 months worth. And...
yeah, I mean, that helps, but it's just like the it's not as much to me the monetary part of it. It's just the concept of it. I just feel like,
I mean, I get it. Yeah,
you're grabbing at a new fan base and kind of ignoring the old ones. And I feel like it leaves a bad taste in the mouth of a lot of people. And in a way, it gives them a bad look because they already have a really bad reputation for not listening to the people that have been following and loving the sport for decades. And to me, it's just another example of, well, we're going to go after the new fan because we're deaf in one ear and can't hear the old fan.
I do want to say something about that real quick. It might sound a little fucked up, but
you have the floor.
It's worth saying.
All your opinions.
Yeah, like I said, brace yourselves. NASCAR having an old fan base, I'm sorry, we're getting to the point where we're going to need to get the replacement level up, if you know what I'm saying. Like,
yeah,
they're not going to be.
Get it.
They're not going to be around forever.
Wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
you're not wrong.
They're not going to be around forever. We can't always cater to that.
Yeah,
you're not wrong. It's just say it succeeds, right? And then we're in this same position and something new comes along in 20 years. We're going to ignore this group and go do something else because this group doesn't like it.
Look,
I pitched this TV internet deal. I'm going to keep coming back to it in Gentilly, Louisiana, which is, yeah, exactly. That face, Chuck's face. Exactly.
Where?
Chuck's face. It is exactly what I thought when I went to Gentilly, Louisiana. It's a suburb of New Orleans.
Can you spell that? I'm just curious.
No, I don't think I think we'd have to bleep it if
it was
New
Orleans.
I can think of a word that's similar, but
if you think of NASCAR's like age group and like just the NASCAR's elder statesman watchers and that age group and that type of human, that is them. And even they were, it was a very select few of them that, you know, we would be alienating by that. So, I mean, but no, I definitely understand what you're saying. And they do have a track record of that. Seth, take the floor.
All right, here's my issue. And Peter brought this up as a positive. I'm going to disagree. Having 4 different commentators sets, I don't like that. I really wish we'd have gone the full other direction. Well, A, completely dump Fox, but B, I wish they brought everything in-house, had one set. Get the best guys, get your best play-by-play guy you can, get Dale Jr. and then whoever else, and have NASCAR TV, that be your streaming service. And then you can also, your biggest races, or as many as you can, simulcast those to NBC or USA or whatever they're able to get. I think that would have been the best way to do it, because then whoever's diehard who wants to watch it is like, okay, I'm going to pay this fee to just watch it for the season. I don't need to get cable if I don't want to. I don't need to have anything other than an internet connection and this service, and I can watch every NASCAR Cup race I want. And then for your casuals, you simulcast your biggest races and literally anything you can get onto NBC or USA. Like I said, I think that would have been the smartest way to go about it. It may not have brought in as much money, but I think that would have been the way to keep the healthiest, I think.
Do you think with this new production facility, Peter, do you think there will be 4 separate commentary?
I'm not sure about 4. I could maybe see 3, but between the 2 streaming companies, I could see the talent being a NASCAR internal project and NASCAR determining who's in the booth for Prime and for Max.
Okay. And have we heard anything about the Prime races being simulcast on Twitch like they do with Thursday Night Football?
I've not heard anything about that, but that's certainly a possibility with how popular it's been with Thursday Night Football.
Okay. All right. So sorry. Go ahead.
I also think that we should have gone to our advertisers. Well, first of all, our big 4 advertisers, our premier partners, should have gone to them with the model of having your logo up for certain portions of the race. And then anytime, if an incident happens or something, anytime it's replayed, your logo's right there. That could have been a big way to bring in revenue and cut back on the commercials. I think a lot of companies actually would be interested in that, because if your logo's is a part of the replay, I don't see how that's a negative. I don't know how you really. I guess maybe the problem is you don't know how to sell that because it's kind of a newer idea. But well, I mean, it's not even a newer idea. We have similar things, like, I don't know, certain parts of the race you come up with a sponsor, but it's only on like the top corner and it's hard to see. I don't know. I think we could have made this a little more streamlined. That's the only issue I have, is when it's all over the place. And I think that is gonna be a bigger detriment to retaining viewership than the streaming or cable barrier. I think that's going to be the biggest issue.
Right. And the big issue I have is having to watch qualifying and practice for one series on one channel, then having to flip for the Cup race or the Xfinity race, and having to potentially flip back if it's a Saturday that has 2 or 3 series on track.
Yeah.
That's the thing that bothers me.
But
go ahead, buddy.
I think NASCAR should just do a absolute like mail blast and just send out their damn TV schedule to everybody in America.
NASCAR doesn't, but Bob Pockrass does on Twitter every morning. So I'm sure between Google or Bob, people will be able to find that.
Oh, I'm talking to a physical, like a TV guy, like a physical one you get in the mail. And then at every race, we need to, like, Joe Gibbs, he has the game plan for life. He's got like 7 of them up his sleeve and he just shoots them out like
Spider-Man.
Like Spider-Man. I think we need that. We need those at every race. We need a guide of all the channels, every practice, everything.
If you buy anything from NASCAR.com shop, then it comes with a calendar.
Schedule.
It comes with a calendar that you put up on the wall, and on Sundays it says this race, and it's on this channel.
And it's a magnet. It's a magnet. You stick to your fridge. There we go. Dude, we could get on this. We could do this.
We figured it out.
No, I'm serious. Like we could maybe do this.
So I got a quick couple of side notes. I got 2 questions for y'all because I just thought of them. Seth said something about marketing. So I think NASCAR has proven over the past month that they dropped the ball on a certain marketing thing they could have done. You want to comment on how poorly they did with Ryan Blaney's championship tour?
I'll go ahead and
I'll go
ahead and give you the direct quote I had about this. I called the lack of promotion of of one of NASCAR's most popular drivers winning a championship. I called it a absolute jailhouse abortion of a promotion campaign.
That's pretty much it.
And I think that's pretty accurate.
They had the best possible scenario.
There's no reason Ryan Blaney couldn't have been on any Barstool podcast. He couldn't have been on really any podcast. He could have been on, any late night talk show, whatever. Ryan Blaney, he has a foot in Hollywood. He's been in so many things.
Yeah.
And he's our champion. He's a young, good-looking guy with a lot of personality that a lot of people already like, that, a guy will like because he's a man's man, and a girl will like because he's hot. Like, I mean,
no reason he can't be on a Panthers broadcast for 2 seconds either to help promote the Daytona 500 coming up.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything, and they did basically nothing.
Dude, I remember when Dale Jr. drove his race car on the fucking field of the Super Bowl one year to promote the Daytona 500. I mean, you weren't even born yet.
I've seen it. I've seen the videos though. They got Chase Elliott on in the middle of Truist Park like 2 years ago, and they can't get Ryan Blaney somewhere for winning a championship.
Yeah, it was disappointing.
And my other one was the fact that this may be just a rumor, but I've heard with the new media complex thing they just opened that when the Xfinity Series goes to the CW in 25, that it could be all the broadcasts from there rather than at the track.
Oof.
If that's true, I think that's a massive L.
Yeah. I mean, we've saw during the pandemic and with the truck races recently, remote broadcasts suck.
They do. They
are really bad because as bad as maybe people think that the truck broadcast guys are and gals, it's not helping when the only thing you have is what's on your cameras, and Fox's camera work is terrible, or at least their direction is. Their direction is awful. So, I mean, I guess if you're going to get the best direction in the world, maybe. I mean, you could argue that like F1 commentary is basically like that, since you can't see hardly anything from the broadcast booth, and they don't do that bad of a job. So maybe it's all just about direction. I don't really know, but
I would hope if it's a NASCAR thing, it's obviously their production studio, that they would do a better job than maybe a Fox or an NBC would.
I don't know. They had a home run and Ryan Blaney winning the championship, and they dropped that ball. So
it just kind of goes to me. If that's what ends up happening, it kind of goes back to something I said about 10 minutes ago. They seem to have a deaf ear to when it comes to what the fans actually want, rather than what they think is just going to be good for them.
Peter, you have a comment?
Just, you can easily hear on NBC broadcast when it's Dale Jr. looking out the window at turn 3 a mile away and seeing whoever it is spin and saying, "Oh, car in the wall," and you can just hear
we got a wreck.
Exactly. You can hear the authenticity behind that versus what we've seen on the truck broadcast, where it's just clearly them just watching a screen and just pointing and shooting.
And I'll add something else to it. Especially NBC does a great job of capturing the outside audio of the actual race when the commentators are talking. You know how awesome it is to hear them like getting all excited in the booth when you hear the cars below them going down the front straightaway? That adds so much to the broadcast. And when you're broadcasting
hear the
from
crowd
a studio,
whenever Chase Elliott,
exactly, that adds so much to the broadcast and to the moment for the fan watching at home that cannot be at the track. And by doing it from a studio, you take all of that away. And yeah, you may be saving a dime or two, but you're taking a big chunk of fan experience away from the fan that's not at the racetrack.
Yep. 100%. I did want to say one more thing. You mentioned Ryan Blaney. Everybody complains, or not complains, but everyone brings up all the time about how NASCAR drivers aren't superstars like they used to be, and how that's because the drivers have no personality, this, that, and the other. Case in point, Ryan Blaney. Tons of charisma, tons of personality, good looking dude. NASCAR doesn't give a shit. Like, we could have a superstar. We could have a superstar, like an actual superstar in Chase Elliott. We could have an actual superstar in Ryan Blaney. Kyle Larson might be a little too soon, but like there's no effort put in. There's zero effort put in.
And Dale Jr. brought something up. I listened to Kenny Wallace's podcast, and he said this. He's like, anything NASCAR's asked Ryan Blaney to do, he's done it. He's like, he will say yes to everything.
Yes, I think he was one of the first drivers to have his own podcast, the Glass Case of Emotion. I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago when that started. Yeah. He is very receptive to helping grow the sport, and I'm very interested to see over the next year as champion how that goes, and how he himself can help grow the sport.
Yeah, and here's another thing, and this might be peanuts, but like if you were to promote Ryan Blaney more and you pair him with the promotion of the Daytona 500, it's a pretty good chance that fans are going to be like, oh, I'm going to pull for this Ryan Blaney guy that just won the championship. Pretty good chance he goes to Daytona and wins the Daytona 500.
Yeah, he's finished
pretty damn good there. So, I mean, you really had like the perfect scenario. I'd argue even more perfect than Chase Elliott. Obviously, that was a COVID year, and Chase Elliott doesn't seem as receptive to doing all these things for NASCAR. He seems to be, want to hang out in Dawsonville and, go to the, do what Chase Elliott does. So
what does Chase Elliott do, buddy?
That's
I don't know. I don't know what he does. I know he goes and gets his hair cut and he's
snowboards.
Apparently had a shoulder surgery.
Yeah, like he's I don't know. Like I'm sure he's got a plane. I'm sure he flies around with a banner that says I'm Chase Elliott around Dawsonville. I don't know. Like I don't know what the fuck he does.
He posted about he posted that the new Napa Auto Parts open in Dawsonville, so now he can go get his Napa Auto Parts in town.
Exactly. Yeah. Well,
hell yeah.
That's another thing about his personal life that he's posted in like 2 years.
That's another thing. I'm ripping this off from, I think it was Ellie Productions video, but why could you get Michael Waltrip and Martin Truex Jr. in a Napa commercial like 10 years ago, but you can't get Chase Elliott singing and wiggling his ass or whatever on the fucking thing? Like, really?
Hang on. Dude, this is a valid, this is so valid.
You know how many people would be engaged?
Know-how.
Yeah, you know how many people would be engaged with Chase Elliott, dancing and singing Napa know-how on the fucking TV? Like,
I would, or even just him saying
now.
Or even just a remake of the damn original Napa commercial he did with Dale Jr.
Yes, the blow-up doll action figure. Bring that back.
Hey, we did bring it back.
We did bring it back, yeah.
But it makes it even funnier looking back on it now because Martin Truex Jr. himself is a very private. I want to go do what Martin Truex Jr. does, which we do know what he does. He hunts and fishes all day. But they got Martin to do it, and you can't get Chase to do it.
Yeah.
All you have to do is put it in the contract. It's not that hard.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly.
It's like, it's kind of how we fix our superstar problem is exactly the same way we fix our racing. As far as that goes, you put it in the contract. It isn't that fucking hard.
I'm going to shout out to my friend Adriana. She was talking about, going through college, and she's like, man, this is hard, but I just do it. Just do it.
That's Nike, not Napa, buddy.
I'm aware. I don't know. There's so many. Yeah, I don't know. And that also I was talking to my buddy Tyler about this yesterday about the creating these superstars. Shut up. Creating these superstars and how you look back in the day, when Dale Jr. was on the MTV Music Awards and, he did all this stuff and whatever, it was the sponsors running the PR team.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's the teams. And I don't know if I'm just, blind and just realizing this and everybody else knew this the whole time, but I obviously knew that they were with the teams, but I didn't realize that is also part of the reason we don't see them everywhere else.
Yep. I mean, we had Jeff Gordon doing commercials with Britney Spears back in the day. Like, we're not at that level right now. I wouldn't expect that kind of thing. But you don't get to that level without, I don't know, trying.
Is that a money thing? Is
Yes.
that like okay?
Yeah, 100%.
I also thought about it like this. Maybe the teams don't want the drivers going out and doing something, maybe making an ass of themselves or being stupid, and it reflect badly on the team. Whereas the sponsors, like, I mean, that's our name's going to be attached to it, and publicity is publicity.
I don't know. I mean, you're probably right. I just don't understand why teams would care. Like, barring a April 2020 incident or getting arrested, I don't see what would matter about that. Like, as far as the team's reputation goes, like, as far as the team goes, go out and win a fucking race. It doesn't matter. Like, yeah. I don't understand. I guess Hendrick is whatever, but like a team like Hendrick, their neutering of their drivers makes no sense to me because they're Hendrick. They can literally get away with whatever they want. Case in point, this year, like it doesn't matter. Like I don't understand it. I really don't understand
it. Yeah. All right. I think that's a good ending point. We don't understand a lot of things. But
small-minded.
Yes.
Small.
That was going to something a little bit more annoying. This Phoenix test.
More annoying? Oh Lord.
This Phoenix test.
This is more annoying, but Chase.
Okay. Peter, have you heard anything that we don't know or that okay. So here, I'll tell you what I have heard about this and you tell me. I heard that they were going to do test a new transaxle, decided that it was unnecessary and didn't do it. They tested the diffuser. It was different, not necessarily better, but just different. Also new splitter as well. And basically they didn't accomplish really anything.
I heard they tried a couple different tire compounds too. Something
that as well.
We saw at Martinsville this past fall, but maybe a tick more aggressive, and that was maybe a step in the right direction as well. But I'm sure, like you guys, I was just following along with Cole Cusimano on Twitter. He's a friend of mine who lives out there, and he was one of the only reporters there. So he's getting a lot of good firsthand content from the drivers.
Yeah. So obviously we know what the Seth, what is the problem?
We need more horsepower in the cars. That is the problem. It cannot, for the love of God, be that fucking hard.
Thank you. Thank you.
End quote.
End quote.
It is because here's the thing. I heard I have it right here. They asked Ryan Blaney about the new splitter they tested, and he said there was a big difference, but he didn't preface whether or not it was better, it was easier to pass, harder to pass. He just said it was different. And that's really kind of the general consensus I got from all the drivers that were there. They tested a similar tire to Martinsville, which that's fine. And then they talked to this Dr. Jacuzzi, the NASCAR guy. Is that his name? Is that
it is? Yeah,
I got that right.
Is it really?
Yeah. I put, so I'm reading off a text message I sent to the group chat, and I said they talked to this Dr. Jacuzzi or whatever the bleep his name is. I can't believe I got that right. And they talked to him and they asked him about trying different aero stuff and tire stuff, and all he seemed to care about was the mufflers. Like, is that like that at the end of the day? It seemed like all they did was fuck around with some mufflers, and that was the only thing they had a hard like opinion about as far as like where they're going forward. And then they asked them about the car, and they're like, we don't really know. We're kind of like,
you'd think if they made 6 teams drive 2,000 miles out to Phoenix or however far it is from Charlotte, that they would throw the kitchen sink at these cars and test any and everything. But yeah, that's more or less the consensus I got too, is that they wasted 2 days trying on mufflers.
That's the other thing. Why are we going to Phoenix for this test when we can go to Martinsville and Bristol and Richmond? Why are we going to Phoenix? I mean, I understand Phoenix is terrible, but there are other reasons for Phoenix being terrible than just the car.
Well, we got to sell the fact that Phoenix is our premier track because it's our championship track.
That, and I'm sure this was booked months ago and they wanted a track with optimal weather, race-like conditions.
Actually, that's
fair. But it is always cold at Bristol and Martinsville when we run, so it would still make sense to try and fix that.
Is it always cold at Bristol and Martinsville, or at least at Martinsville?
It's usually cold.
Yeah, except for this year. Then we almost died of heat exhaustion.
Look, if you fix the racing at Martinsville for when it's cold, when it's warm, it'll be really good.
Okay, I guess that's fair. This gives me a headache. It really does, dude. Because, like, at the very least, they were going to test a new transaxle and decided that it wasn't important enough. Is shifting not like the number 2 thing on why the short track package is like not good right now?
That's what literally half of the season of Action Sentimental was saying with Denny.
I mean, Denny lives Denny's truth, and it's right 10,000% of the time. And take that for what you will, but that is at least fact. I don't get it, dude. I don't like horsepower. Horsepower. I mean, everything, in all racing that's in NASCAR right now would be benefited by just adding a little bit more horsepower.
Literally every type of racing, honestly. Like, I think super speedway racing would be even a little bit better with a little more horsepower. Road courses absolutely would be better with more horsepower. 1.5 miles would be ridiculous with more horsepower. And short tracks would be tolerable with more horsepower. I still think if that was the only thing we did, it wouldn't be perfect, but it would be significantly more tolerable. And they don't care, dude. Well, I think part of the problem is there is a new engine package on the way, and we've been saying this for 4 years, so I don't
It's pivotal.
Yeah, it's going to be pivotal whenever it happens. But the problem is, I think that they're like, well, I don't want to like do anything yet. But I don't know.
Don't promote that you're doing this test and promote about how you're trying to make swings at making this better. And when they were talking about this Phoenix test, they said everything's on the table. New transaxle, more horsepower was on the table, and anything and everything. And they made the most minute and like tiniest incremental changes to it. No more than what they've been doing that hasn't worked. And here's the thing about messing with the aero package. They keep taking away downforce. Well, excuse me, I'm not an aerodynamicologist or whatever, but it's like, wouldn't it make sense that the less downforce, these cars are just built aerodynamically. Like that's how cars are built nowadays. That's how the bodies are built. And that's just, cars are aerosensitive. You're never going to get around that. Wouldn't it make sense that the less downforce you have in a car, the more you be clinging on to the downforce that you do have, making it just as sensitive to dirty air as you know, if you had all the downforce.
I mean, we already made this mistake because we in the Gen 6 era, we started taking away downforce, and at first it worked, and then we went too far and they were overly aerosensitive, and for some reason we kept it like that for a couple more years and then added the 550 package instead of just, going back a little bit on that we keep doing this. We keep doing the same thing and getting the same. It's insanity. We keep doing the same things, getting the same results, and then going, huh, that's weird. And then doing it again. Like it's I don't know. I don't understand how you can look at the last 2 seasons and look at the changes we made and go, okay, we're going to keep doing that because that worked so well the last time. I mean, I would argue that you made short track racing worse this year. The only track that got marginally better was Bristol, and you didn't change that package at all. And I say marginal. It was still awful, but it was marginally better.
I thought this year's Bristol race was way worse than last year.
What part of it?
I thought it was a more. I honestly thought it was a better race just because the cars didn't fall apart every 50 laps.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's hard to tell because
either way, yeah,
the 2022 race was such a mess. But
From
I don't
car
know.
standpoint, that's the worst race I've ever watched.
Yes, that was bad. But anyway, not really the point. Either way, even if you think that was worse, then they were all worse.
The thing that drives me up the wall too about this is that we think, and I'm guilty. I think we're all guilty of it because we all. I mean, our podcast is Big Motor Small Blade. Like, I mean, we can't act like we're not like. We were a little bit naive to this less downforce thing being the answer.
Yeah, but it's paired with the big motor part of it.
Well, what I'm saying is we saw an example of where you can have your high downforce as long as you have high horsepower. It's still awesome.
Yeah.
2014, they had big splitters and big blades.
Exactly. And it's so, yeah.
And we didn't have any issues at short tracks. And everyone seems to have revisionist history on that. It was 2019
screaming off the corner.
It was 2019 where we had issues at short tracks. 2019, the Martinsville races were really bad.
Horrible.
Yeah, I remember. Truex led like every lap that fall.
So did Brad.
Brad in the spring did too. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's well, yeah. And in 14, we didn't have that problem at all. And we had gazillions of horsepowers. So clearly, top brass at NASCAR, there's a common theme here, and that's more horsepower equals better, I would say, racing. Like even if every race wasn't a home run in 2014,
it wasn't racing.
I wouldn't call half of what we've done the past couple of years racing.
This is true. Like if anybody really thinks the short track package was really that like terrible in 2014, the fall Martinsville race and the spring Richmond race are two of the best races I have ever watched in my life.
Dude,
yes.
The 2014 spring Martinsville was awesome.
That one too. I forgot about the one that Kurt won.
That race was weird too because they had a totally different tire compound and everyone was sliding into the corners. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
the Bristol races weren't bad either.
No, well, and that's the thing. And it was
that was just like top only Bristol, so it was different than what we have now.
Right. I remember that fall race is the first time I went to Bristol as a fan.
Was that the one Logano? Yeah, Logano won.
Yeah,
Logano
won.
He won. Yeah. I'm gonna add my 2 cents to this conversation.
I don't want it.
I didn't ask. I'll give you a third just for that. I keep wanting to give them the benefit of the doubt, saying, "Oh, the leaders at the top of the sport,
Why?
they're smart. They'll figure it out." And then I read this quote that we've all heard already, but I'm going to read it again. Steve Phelps said, "I asked the drivers; they say more horsepower. I don't think the answer is more horsepower because horsepower is expensive." Well, Steve, I didn't know you drive the fucking cars
or own the cars.
I don't know what that has to do with the racing being better.
Secondly, him saying that more horsepower is expensive is completely false because both Denny and Brad will tell you the engine bills didn't get any cheaper. So
hang on.
What are we doing?
Also, is that not an admission that more horsepower is the problem?
Pretty much.
Yes, he just said they don't want to pay for it. So
is that it? Is that not it?
It just makes me so mad because it is really obvious that the product is not good. And whether you like to believe it or not, it has leveled out on the tracks that it was good at. like the mile and a half. It's leveling off, and it's going to get worse because the teams are going to figure it out. And what made it good isn't going to make it good anymore. So now you have a product that isn't good. And the only way to fix it is to, like they said they were going to do, throw the kitchen sink at it and spend the money. You have to spend the money to fix the product that's going to make you money, or else it's not going to get fixed. And I think I made a perfect analogy. Hold on, buddy. I'll be done in just a second.
You're good.
I said, I can design the coolest looking basketball shoe in the world. And I can do all this marketing for it like they're doing with the new TV deal and put all this money into it. It doesn't matter if the thing blows out in the second quarter of every game that it's used in. That's what we have right now. They're putting all this money into marketing this product that they have, and they won't put any money into the product itself.
They said they were going to throw a kitchen sink at it, and all they threw at it was a bidet. So
mufflers, and they did mufflers. Like, I get it. I get the mufflers
Peter,
thing.
tell me why. What is our deal with mufflers? Why is this like the new fad?
Deaf ears. It's the thing. They just don't listen to their fans. They do what they want to do.
What? I'm sorry, I can't hear you. The cars don't have mufflers.
I think they're trying to perfect the mufflers to appease people who are anti-racing at the National Fairgrounds, to try and make the cars as quiet as possible, to try and give Karens as much leeway as possible. But that's also a big sticking point for the Chicago street race and for the Clash.
Now, I'll be honest. When I heard they were talking about mufflers, I kind of just tuned out. I was like, all right, I don't want anything to. I don't care to read anymore. Is it even? Are they trying to go even quieter than they did at LA, or are they kind of just testing?
I think they're just testing a new kind of muffler from LA, because there were some problems with that one, but I don't believe there were any problems in Chicago. So I think it's new manufacturer or new type of way to put it on or something.
Okay, because I will admit it's still not very. It doesn't. I mean, I guess there is some importance to it, but not nearly as important as making your package better. But I will say that cars were just as loud at LA, and it was just the outside the track, they were quieter.
Okay.
So
the footprint of the track at LA is so small that running go-karts in there would be loud.
Yes, that, and I think just in general, all it did was, I think, because they ran mufflers at Chicago as well, right?
Yes.
I think essentially what they did is the cars were just as loud and sounded just as throaty and just as good as they did. And I think it just made it to where the further away you got, you couldn't hear them as much as like if it was the normal. So that's fine. I think people are honestly over exaggerating and overreacting to them adding mufflers, because I don't think they're trying to make the cars quiet.
I know I am.
Right,
I know I'm 100% overreacting. I'm just overreacting because I'm mad that they did that. That's what they did.
No, I mean, no, that's
like,
yeah.
It's just like a kick in the dick, pretty much. It's like, yeah, we didn't actually do anything to fix the car, but we did something to make them quieter.
Yeah. I don't understand.
Thumbs up, yay!
Peter, do you have any clue as to why they don't want to do this? They don't want to. None. Yeah. Okay.
No.
They're trying to get rid of short track racing. Has to be the case.
Well, they wouldn't
Fine. Let the Cars Tour be the national series. It's better racing anyway.
No. Well, I mean, no, it is better. It is better. It is better. That's
what they ought to do. They ought to just all race late model stock cars. There you go. Bring late model stock cars.
Next gen 2.0.
Yeah, seriously, they should. We've had enough issues with it.
And now we're back to the old sportsman debate.
Well, hang on. This is one thing I said in our group chat. What they need to do is make like 3 different cars. Okay, they need to make one for the short tracks. They need to make one for the intermediates. They need to make one for the road courses. They need to make one for those 2. They need to make one for the intermediates, and they need to make one for the short tracks, and then run them at the opposite type of track it's actually built for. Because I'm sorry, when you make a car, this is when they announced the next gen car, and I was looking at the Roval test. I was like, oh, this is gonna suck. Unfortunately, this is gonna suck because we built a car that runs good at short tracks and road courses, heavy brakes, wide tire, and yeah, it runs good. Sure, yeah, runs great. Can't race them where the fuck though. And guess what? It ran really well at intermediates. Now, of course, everyone's catching up to that now, so it's going to get less and less and less. A track like Charlotte will probably stay better longer because it only runs once a year on the oval. That's another thing. If everyone got what they wanted, which was 2 Charlotte Oval races, it'd be back to where everything else is pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then we make an intermediate style car, which is what we did with the Gen 6. Mm-hmm. Guess what ran great on the Gen 6? That's right, road courses and short tracks. So we just, I understand you want to keep it cheap, but it doesn't work. I'm sorry, that's just not how auto racing works, and especially at this level. And if we're spending as much as we are on these charters and shit, we got the guys in charge have money.
And I tell you what, you bring up a good point about the having 2 or 3 different types of cars. Any person that I know that has a Lamborghini, which Denny Hamlin says that we're basically driving Lamborghinis as far as price goes, they definitely don't have just a Lamborghini. They probably have at least 3 types of cars. So that's a valid point.
Yeah. No one saves up their entire life to get a Lamborghini and then just lives in it. That's just not how that works.
Yeah.
You're not going to see a Lamborghini in the Harris Teeter parking lot.
Yeah.
And I'll say one more thing. They're talking about, oh, we're going to do everything we can, throw everything at it. 2 things that weren't even mentioned that are worth trying is treaded tires.
Oh,
because
yeah.
the best short track racing I saw all year was when they had treaded tires on at Wilkesboro.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they
truck race at Martinsville.
Yeah, they could have tried that in a smaller brake package.
Yes,
because
100%.
Increasing the stopping distance allows guys to outbrake each other. And that wasn't even mentioned. That wasn't even like a figure of imagination in NASCAR's mind. So they said they were going to throw everything at it, and they honestly had quite a few options. Even if you want to be cheap asses and not put more horsepower in the cars, you had 3 legitimate options that you could have tried: the transaxle, smaller brake package, and treaded tires. And they went,
all things they have talked about.
All things they've talked about. And they went,
we keep doing the same thing.
What about this noise reducer? What do we think about using that?
You don't really want people to be able to talk to each other during the race because they're going to realize how fucking bad your product is if they can talk to each other.
Or
they're going to sit there and be like, man, this sucks, dude. What are we doing here?
Yep. You got it.
I can't stand bashing NASCAR all the time because I love NASCAR. It's what I've grown up on.
You picked the wrong podcast.
But you know what? It's valid.
I try not to bash it, but
at this point, it's valid. They don't give anybody, not just us, anybody any choice. Because for every good thing they do, it's like, oh, yes, good job. Thank you for doing that. That is awesome. They're like, yeah, so ignore the fact that we're going to do these 3 things that fuck everything else up. They take 1 step forward and 3 steps back with everything they do.
They tried nothing and ran out of ideas.
Pretty good. That's
pretty much.
Good. Yeah.
Pretty much.
I don't know what to do with this series anymore. I'm gonna keep watching and spending my hard-earned money on it, but
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I probably shouldn't. That's the problem. Is we're all that's the real problem is we're all fucking addicted to it. And
showing up.
We keep showing up. We keep watching on TV. We're gonna fucking get on Max just to watch the races.
I'm gonna buy that stupid $7 a month Amazon subscription.
We're gonna do all this, and they're gonna go, okay. We're just gonna keep putting what we got out there now, and we go, fine.
But at the same time, just like the fact that every single playoff race this year had declining ratings and numbers from last year, is that not like a sign of, hey, we're kind of running people off? Maybe we should fix something. Like this, it's right there in front of your face, dude. Every single playoff race was down in ratings.
No, you're wrong. our Lord and Savior Chase Elliott was not in the playoffs, and that's why.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
You're
because-
right. Yeah, you're right.
I
because
definitely
that guy accounts
I definitely considered not watching pretty much all the playoff races because Chase wasn't in it.
Well, you attended half of them, so you didn't consider
did.
that hard.
I didn't.
The fact that that's their, you know what? And I hate to say this.
I
When
hope Chase
Chase
wins
Elliott makes the-
15 races next year and the ratings still decline.
Exactly. When Chase Elliott makes the playoffs and is the regular season champion and goes to the Final Four, and every single race
Hey,
declines
hang on,
another 15% in ratings,
hang
they're
on.
gonna be like, "Oh shit, maybe
Hang
we
on.
were wrong."
I'd like to try nothing and still be surprised. I don't want to test this theory.
Well, if
That's
they would have just like hopped on the Ryan Blaney train, we could have done that one. I also think, hang on real quick. I think
Success takes sacrifices, buddy.
exactly. Here's one thing. I think that most popular driver voting should only be available at the racetrack. Because if that was the case, Chase Elliott would definitely not have won most popular driver this year.
Wait, what?
I think
Let me
most
tell you cut
popular I think most popular driver voting should only be done at the racetrack. I don't think you should be able to go and vote once a day on fucking NASCAR.com on your phone or whatever. Like it should be an at the track thing.
Hey, Chase
Free
Elliott
race
did
only.
not
Free
race
race
in
only.
Chase Elliott did not race in all the races this year either. I don't think he should have been eligible.
I don't care.
Valid point.
Yeah.
Didn't Dale Earnhardt win it in 2001?
He did, yeah, because Bill dropped out of the running.
Hey, he was there.
I feel like Dale would have won anyway.
He was just a lap ahead.
Wait, so how did we vote for it back in the day? Did you have to like mail in or what did we do back in the day?
Dude, messenger pigeons, duh. Idiot.
I'm not talking about when you were a kid. I'm talking about the 80s.
Oh. I guess, yeah. How did we do it? Peter.
That's a great question, actually.
Peter's our age. Like, Peter, no.
He knows everything.
That's true. Good point.
I'll tell you, since I'm like 75, no, I don't know.
I was about to say,
Back in May Day.
All right.
Back in my day.
Do we have anything else that
I'm good.
like?
Sonoma's repaving.
That should make the race a little more interesting, actually. I mean, we saw it with the Road America repave. So
Too bad we're not going to see it again with the Road America repave, huh?
yeah,
That's fine.
Shut the fuck up, buddy.
That's fine.
Fuck
Fuck
you.
buddy.
Fuck you.
I don't care about Road America.
You were the worst, just in general.
I don't care. I got to hear a lot. Never mind. I won't get into it. We've got in that enough. Peter, you got your ear to the ground. What are we excited about in 2024?
I'm excited to see how Blaney handles himself as champion, both on and off track. I touched on it a little bit ago, just how present he will be outside the lens of the sport, outside the bubble. Maybe get him, like I mentioned a little bit ago as well, on a Panthers broadcast or just something, get him more mainstream attention, and to see if he can put together a true championship caliber season. Whether he backs up the title or not, I want to see a 4 or 5 win season out of him.
That's fair. Yeah. That is something that, yeah, I haven't thought about that. Like, he definitely, I mean, say what you want about the legitimacy of the playoff format. It's kind of by the wayside at this point, but I definitely need to see a big uptick in performance. And I wonder if you could carry what they did this year into the next year.
And then also remember that we have a new Ford and a new Toyota. I'm interested to see if any of them come out of the gate really hot.
Yes. What do we think about those?
The Toyota's ugly.
I was going to say that Toyota's ugly as sin.
Really ugly.
I think it looks like the old, I think Winston is back because they looked like the old Pontiacs from 1995.
Yeah, and those were ugly.
Hey, man. You're right.
They'll push well on speedways.
That
Yeah,
Ford looks like a real cheater.
That was the number one thing I thought it was. Yeah, they are definitely going to be able to push a lot better on super speedways, and that's been a lot of Chevy's advantage past Chevy and Ford, really. But yeah, okay.
I don't know. I don't know anything about the Fords. They're Ford. I don't trust Ford, to be completely honest.
I don't. Yeah.
Bucker only runs downhill.
I got two things. They're not really NASCAR related, but it's just like other series growing the sport. I
Okay.
won't ramble on them forever, but number one, so the whole World of Outlaws high limit thing has been really interesting to follow, and it was announced, I think, yesterday that Brad and Kyle are setting up a charter system for high limit that's supposed to be complete and running by 2026. So basically, the top 10 teams will get, I want to say it was like 50% of the Flow Racing revenue share.
Wow.
For the series. It'll be divided between the top 10 teams. So that's like a big deal to give those sprint car teams actual like value in the series other than just showing up and getting point money and whatever. And it'll replace the tow money, which is basically the monthly fund they pay them for being on the road. So that's cool to follow. And
Hang on. You break this. Do you think this is maybe a little strategy play by Kyle Larson, knowing the NASCAR charter is coming up, or that agreement's coming up, and that trying to maybe give NASCAR an example of how maybe things should be done?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
And it that wouldn't happen. No offense to Brad, that wouldn't be happening without Kyle.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
It's going to be really fun to watch those two series next year because so far I like how both driver lineups look. High Limit has pretty much grabbed all the free agents that are meaningful, but that doesn't really hurt the Outlaws because they already had a solid field, and the All-Stars field was kind of lacking. It had Courtney, Wise, and Peck, and that's it. So that it's going to be two solid fields, and the fact that they talked Rico into running a full series is great for them. So watching those play out will be interesting. I'll be curious to see when 2026 comes around how many teams are like, I'd rather just keep tow money, and then how many teams are like, I'd rather do the whole charter thing, and how they go about teams wanting to leave at the end of a year and adding more teams. Because I got a feeling if that's the case, there's going to be more than 10 teams that want to be a part of that, and they'll probably do top 10. So if you're not in the top 10, do you pay those guys tow money? So I think that's why they're giving themselves time to figure it out. And on the late model front, buddy, your favorite topic in the world, the Lucas Oil late. No, come back. You're gonna like this. Come back.
He can hear you. So
the Lucas Oil late models in 1 year did something more productive than NASCAR has done in 10. They did 1 year with the whole chase for the championship format, one race, winner takes all. And when the guy that won 20-something races didn't win the championship, they said, yeah, we should probably change that to where it's not one race anymore. So now it's going to be like the final 4 drivers over 6 points paying events, all of which that aren't prelim nights are worth at least 50 grand. So they're going to cut down to the final 4 at Knoxville, and then it's either 6 or 7 points paying races for those final 4. It's straight up. They start even, and then they race all the way to Eldora like that. NASCAR, take notes. Should have been done a long time ago. And the fact that the Lucas Oil late models are outdoing you is embarrassing, because it's going to be great. So maybe it'll get Buddy to watch a late model race. Probably not.
It won't. I can promise you, I'm gonna.
If Buddy starts watching late model races on his
Hell
own,
has frozen over.
Oh, it's not Buddy. I'm gonna be like, "Who are you, and what have you done with Buddy Pulley?"
Hey man,
I'm still trying to talk him into
shout
coming
out
to
to
Elgin in
all.
February.
Shout out to all the stands that I mentioned a couple weeks ago. I'll be watching that over late models. Anyway,
You can do both.
Peter, give me a quick. What is your ideal playoff? I want to hear this from you.
honestly, I would like a lot of what we have now, but I like the idea of a 3-race championship 4 round. If it's three race rounds, just have another 3-race round, maybe even keep it Homestead, Martinsville, Phoenix. I just don't necessarily love the idea of it all coming down to one race because so much can happen or go wrong in one race. I mean, just look at what happened to Christopher Bell this year.
Yeah. Dylan, do you want to do 12 playoff races or cut the playoff field down to 12?
That's tough. I haven't thought about that, but I mean, for uniformity's sake, I'd like that sound of 12 playoff races.
I
Okay.
think I'm on the other end. I'd rather cut it down to 12, make it harder to get into. And I just throw this out there. Had that been the case this year, Ryan Blaney still would have won the championship.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody would be mad about it either. Because he finished second, first, and first. So
No, he finished second, first, and second.
oh, it's right. Ross won.
Right, yeah.
I forget that guy exists. That Ross guy. It always sneaks in there.
Ross winning at Phoenix this year will be such a weird thing to look back on years.
Nobody's ever gonna remember that until somebody like says, like, actually.
No, Caleb remembers because he was the only person excited about it in the entirety of Phoenix Raceway.
Yeah.
Well, other than Ross Chastain and Phil Surgeon or whoever the hell. But other than them.
I didn't see Ross come. I didn't see Ross or Ryan Blaney the entire last lap. I didn't see any. I didn't give a damn.
I really just remember
Ryan Blaney could have flipped over the turn 4 wall and I wouldn't have noticed.
I just remember Ross. Ross drives by the start finish line and starts doing his burnout, and like he about damn near hit like a cameraman or something. Like I thought he was about to wipe a guy out, and I was like, "Oh fuck, shit!" Oh.
So you cut me some slack for not remembering Ross won because, like, watching at home, none of us knew Ross won because NBC didn't mention him from like 3 to go until halfway through the first quarter of Sunday Night Football. So nobody.
Wait, did they not show him smashing the melon?
No.
Really?
They didn't show him. They didn't show him taking the checkered. They didn't interview him until his victory lane celebration was over and he was drinking a beer with a watermelon in his hand. We didn't see him get out of the car. We didn't see him smash the watermelon. They showed a replay of it like once, and then they never talked about him again. We interviewed Blaney, Harvick, Larson, and Byron, went to commercial, cut to Sunday Night Football, and then they interviewed Ross on Peacock.
See, that's sad because we used to interview the race winner on the last race. Like, we didn't even see him cross the line. Like he could have, like Buddy said, flipped over the turn 4 wall, and none of us watching at home would have known that Ryan Blaney won the race. I was half waiting for his motor to blow down the backstretch. Like NASCAR had like a detonate button. Like, you're not allowed to do this, Ross. And it just like blows up down the backstretch.
It's a completely random tire popping.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, oh, wow, Ross, they probably wouldn't have even mentioned it on the broadcast. They'd be like, all right, Ryan Blaney coming down to win at Phoenix.
And we'd all be like, wait, what? Where'd he go?
Yeah.
Where's Ross?
Ross just stuck in 3s, just like fuming at the valve. He's fucking
starts like chucking watermelons out the window. Yeah, if I can't finish, nobody can.
Y'all know that TikTok, and it's like, I don't even know how to set it up, but it's like Ryan Blaney wins the championship. Ross Chastain, it just flies by. No one knows. Anyway, that was that. Anyway, that's all I got.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Awesome.
This has been the Big Motor Small Blade podcast. We decided that, hey, a lot of big things happen. We need to catch up. And Peter, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully we didn't ruin your reputation in the sport too much.
It's not that much to ruin anyway, but thanks for having me on.
No, Peter does a great job. Him and Noah really, they're on the grounds. How many races did you go to?
This year was our most yet. I had 19.
19. All right, cool. We're not that far behind, Seth.
No, not really.
So yeah, I mean, y'all are on the ground at least half of the races and doing a hell of a job. So thank you for that. And also, like I said, thank you for coming on. Go ahead and plug your stuff so everybody knows where to find you.
Yeah, you can find my written work on TSJ101sports.com. And I'm on YouTube as well, just my name, Peter Stratta, and that's spelled Stratta.
Beautiful, beautiful scenes. All right, and you are up in the top right.
I'm Seth, and I don't know why you finished watching this, but thanks, weirdo. Get the fuck out of here.
All right.
I'm still Chase, and if anybody cares, you can find my Cars Tour stuff on frontstretch.com or on Twitter at Folsom_Chase. So
I am
yeah, I don't know why anybody would read that guy's stuff.
I am Buddy Pulley. You guys know that. You could find my podcast at Big Motor Small Blade on YouTube.
But again, ask yourself why. Why would I do that?
Do you really want to do this? Do you really want to have to go to the doctor after to get your mentals checked out?
Or you can listen, or
Your
watch me.
mentals.
Or you can listen and watch me alone without these two idiots on TikTok at The Buddy Pulley, or follow me on Instagram at The Buddy Pulley, as well as listen on Spotify and Apple to this podcast. Again, though, why? But that's it. I don't know when we'll be back. We have some things in the works. We just got to get them working. And but at the very least, we will see you guys sometime in January. I hope you guys have a happy Christmas and a merry off season, and go fuck yourselves.
All right.